Ankin Ma'at family, Ankin Ma'at Abet, good to see all of you. This is the Hemet Inter Intepi Unfraka Ma'at, Chief Priestess of the Shrine of Ma'at, here located in Harlem, New York. And today is Kemetic Ascension for Sunday, October 24th. So it's great to see all of you. I know it looks a little different for you today because you're used to seeing the Hem Netter and Tuppy Jabari greet you. Today he is in Atlanta on his way back from the tour of the Carlos Museum. So many of you who are out in Atlanta had an opportunity to see him. And I see Sinette Cortia just signed in, and she was actually with him this weekend. So welcome, and it's great to see you. And as usual, we like to do shout outs to the people who are in the chat. And as always, I want to say much myrrh and Seneb to the Chafers out in Ghana who have really been holding us down and helping us with our Hessi and creating new Hessi for us. We've been holding it in advance for a while because I know we want to have the perfect way to present it to the community. So you'll be hearing from us soon with all of the wonderful Hessi that they have created for us. So we want to say much mer and twa'u to the Chafers for all that you've done for us. I want to give a shout out to, I believe it's Will Nets, Luis F.Y. Maati Robinson. It's a long name, but it's great to see you. Dua, great. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see Sinette Cheryl Lee in the house, a member of the shrine, and Twa'u for your donation. We appreciate you so much, and it always helps with all the work that we are doing here today. So Twa'u, and thank you for all that you've contributed to the shrine. It really does help us with all of our work. I see Sen William is here. Good to see you. Ankin Ma'at, wonderful to have you in the house. I see Sinette Demetra. How are you? It's good to see you. And Sinette Oye, representing Philly. What it do? Good to see you. While I'm shouting out everyone in the chat, I also want to acknowledge that we have our When Wet who are waiting to see you soon. They are all waiting backstage and will be greeting you shortly. So we have Abu Sashat, we have Abu Kepra, we have Abu Tahuti, who are all waiting to see you soon. And I also want to give a shout out to Sen Sean, one of the members of the shrine as well, who is working with us to make sure Kemetic Ascension runs smoothly. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, the Hem Netter and Tepi is out in Atlanta on his way back. So today's Kemetic Ascension will be run by myself along with members of the When Wet. So we're really excited to work with all of you today. You get to see me behind the camera and what it normally looks like when I'm behind the scenes as opposed to in front of the room. You still see the front of the room because that is the shrine, but I am here behind the scenes on the tech. So it's good to see all of you. Shout out to San Gaston representing Arizona, where some of my family members are at. So it's good to see you. Ankin Ma'at to Sinette Wendy, welcome, good to see you. And we see Deshran Balka, nice to see you. One of our regulars, Anjay Bryant, is in the house. Ankin Ma'at, good to see you. We have Lou Ra, how are you? Thank you for being with us. And I see Sinette Cortia missed seeing me yesterday. Yes, I really wanted to be there. Unfortunately, I had to work. I am teaching on the weekend, so I could not get away to be able to join for Atlanta. But I will be in Philadelphia next weekend. So I hope to see all of those repping Philly out there next weekend. I see Groovlin Productions. Welcome. Good to see you. I think that's a new person joining us. So great to have you for the first time. I see Leon Temple is here. Wonderful to have you. And then we have Neben Kemetic Spectrum Incorporated. Hello. Glad you're here. Ankin Ma'at. And Leon Temple is repping Delaware. Good to have Delaware in the house. Donna Jones. Okay. 2 weeks waiting email. Yes. Yes, I will get back to the hem netter. Like I said, he is traveling, so I will make sure if the message went directly to him, he probably hasn't had a chance to respond due to his travel. So I will get back to you shortly, Sinette Donna. Great to see you, Sinette Anna Rodriguez. I hope all is well with the family, and we're looking forward to seeing you in person again soon. It's been some time since we've been able to see people. Let's see, who else do we have? Wasir Herumaat, hello, how are you? Repping St. Lucia. So I believe you may be the furthest one away right now. We'll see. We have Protest Manic out in East Texas. I believe this may be your first time. It's good to see you. And another regular, Tracy, known as Virgo Venom, out in Indianapolis. And yes, I'm glad to see you. I am not necessarily leading today, which is interesting. I have Abu Tahuti who will be leading today's discussion, but I will be here in support. Let's see, who else do we have? Another regular, rep in Cincinnati, Ohio. Good to see you, Sinette Monique. I see you're out there juicing all the time. I have to get some of those famous juices from you. Welcome, Larry Morant. Morant, it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Let's see, North Carolina in the house, CM Cooper. Yes, Becca Neffer, beautiful morning, welcome. And Larry is representing Connecticut, so you have a kindred spirit in the house, Abu Sishat. We have another person representing Connecticut. We have Jehuti Mes OG the Fourth, probably one of the oldest members of the Shrine of Ma'at in the house, repping Harlem. Good to see you. And yes, Sinette Brenda Walters, excuse me, Sinette, sorry, call you by your government name because I'm seeing it on the screen. I apologize for that, Rausa. Good to see you, Rausa. Nice to have you in the house. We have Sinette Glenda. Good to see you, Glenda, another member of the Shrine of Ma'at. Welcome, welcome. We have Hibachi Lamar. Welcome, good to see you. Larry Jackson out in Daytona Beach, Florida. Florida in the house. Samantha St. Louis, good to see you. Uncle Justin Neb. Oh, Protest says this is not his first time as a long shot. Okay, well, I'm glad you're back. And now we have Chicago in the house. Rogue Brown, good to see you. Peace. I hope you're in touch with our yoga master out there and one of our good brothers who is in your area out in Chicago, Yasir Rahotep. So hopefully you have been able to connect. I say Emilian Misuama. So yes, you are the furthest away now, out in Paris, France. Wonderful, welcome, glad to see you. Sen Lee, as always, good to see you. Ankin Ma'at. We have Driller 4, Peace, Power, and Prosperity. Right back at you. Great to see you. Aket Hotep from Quebec. Wonderful. Canada is in the house representing. Good to see you. We have Eon Dante out in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Welcome, welcome. And Sen Lee is representing Mobile, Alabama. Alabama in the house. We have another regular, Nabetra Anna Hotep out in Columbus, Ohio. So, okay, Ohio is back in the house. There you go. Yes. And now we have Sanet Shenka and Nefer Kepara. Mer to you. Mer to you. Good to see you. Repping her new name. So I'm glad to be able to say that out in public. Welcome. Good to see you, Sanet. We have Carl Jones out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Wonderful, repping Oklahoma, and Sinette Fafanta Tracy out in Maryland, Hyattsville, Maryland. So we have people from the DMV joining us. So good to see you. Sinette Tashi, repping Charlotte, North Carolina. So welcome, Sinette Tashi, full member of the Shrine of Ma'at. It is so wonderful to see you. And Heru Asar Ankh Amin Ra. I just love saying your name. I'm so glad to see you in the house as always. Welcome. And I want to give a shout out to those making donations as we speak. Twa'u to Brother Anjay, Twa'u to Sinette Demetra, and Twa'u to Bryson for your donations. As always, they help. For anyone who'd like to also make donations, please feel free to do it via Cash App. at $Shrine of Ma'at, or you could do it via PayPal to Ma'at at shrineofma'at.org, shrineofma'at.org. So I am so happy to see all of you. You know, we are at the end of October. We are getting close to the end of the year 2021, which is amazing to me. It seems like time is moving extremely fast, and I can't believe we're already getting towards the end of the secular year. But it's good to see all of you. Shout out to Noble Sammy Sutton. Good to see you. And also send Cleo Ford, Ankin Ma'at, and Ramonia McCall. Welcome. Ankin Ma'at to you all. So I would like to just say welcome. I'm glad you're all here. Again, for those who are just joining us, yes, I am the Emet Inter Intepi Unfurkan Ma'at, and I am taking over today in place of the Hem Netter Jabari, or also known as Jedin Ma'at Aten Ra, who is out in Atlanta on his way back after doing a fabulous tour in the area. So welcome to all of you who are just joining us, and Twa'u to Sinette Tracy and to Send Dion for your donations. We appreciate them as always, Twa'u. So as we always begin at every session of Kemetic Ascension, we must give veneration and honor to our ancestors, and we do it with what we call the opening of the way, which was brought to us by our elder, our center, Baba Heru Ankara Samaj Se Pata. So today our opening of the way will be done by a member of our Renwet. You all know her as Abut Sishat, so I am welcoming her into the room, and I will be going off camera to allow her to take over at this point in time. Okay, so we will need you to unmute yourself from the opening way.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, two.
Okay, great. So let's everybody stand, facing the north in the pose of adoration, which is your left foot forward, right foot back, left hand forward, right hand back with a slight bend on this angle. Now let's take a deep inhale. Anetarach in Betet. Nuke in Betet. Anetarach Hapi. Nuke Hapi. Tuau and turn. Turn to the right. Anetarach Serket. Nuke Serket. Anetarach Kepsanuf. Nuke Kepsanuf. Tuau and turn. Turn to the right. Anetarach Ast. Nuke Ast. Anetarach Amset. Nuke Amset. Tuau and turn. Turn to the right. Anetarach Neat. Nuke Neat. Anetarach Duamutef. Nuke Duamutef. Tuau and turn. Turn to the right. Anetarach Newt. Nuke Newt. Anetarach Geb. Nuke Geb. Tuau and turn. Anetarach Shu. Shu. Turn right. Shu. 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 Nuke Shu. Anetarach Tefnut. Tefnut. Turn left. Tefnut. 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 Nuke Tefnut. Tuau and turn. Anetarach Paut Interu. Nuke Paut Interu. Anetarach and Boo Interu. Nuke and Boo Interu. Tuau and turn. Inhale. to our winter. Thank you to the divine.
Twa'u, twa'u, twa'u. We appreciate you. That was wonderful. For all of you joining us, we have just opened the way and allowed our ancestors and the divine forces of the Inter to join us as we go further into our Kemetic Ascension, our spiritual gathering for the Shrine of Ma'at. So I'd like to say Twa'u to Abu Sishat for providing that opportunity for all of us. At this time, now you know that after we do the opening of the way, we like to also join in chanting, song, and in Hessi. So at this point, I would like to bring into the room another member of our Wenwet, Abu Kepra, who will lead us in our Hessi for today.
I'll get my family, Abu Kepra, reaching out to you. Happy to be here today for this Kemetic Ascension. And as Intepi Anika said, this is the time when we do Hessi. So, I asked you, what is Hessi? Some of you might know, some of you might not know. But Hessi, I'll tell you, is the speaking, the singing or chanting of the Medu Neter. Essentially, when we do Hessi, we speak, we chant, or we sing these words of power, the Medu Neter, words of power. So it's a very powerful practice that you can engage yourself in to do Hessi and really see if you can do Hessi on a regular basis. Through Hessi, we give praise and honor to the Neteru. We give praise and honor to Divine Mother and Father of Creation. And, I have to clearly say, when we say Neter, we always honor, that feminine principle, because there can't be a father without a mother. So that's very important for us as Kemites. One of the things, too, that we do here at the Shrine of Ma'at, you'll often hear us say, Ankh and Ma'at to each other. We say that we're living in Ma'at. One of the things I want to make clear is that this is a living legacy. We do the Hessi. I'm going to present a Hessi to you in a few minutes, but we do Hessi, but also see if you can do Hessi in your daily life. Because you live in Ma'at, one of the ways that you can live in Ma'at is by doing Hessi, by calling forth the divine words, the divine words of power, and calling forth the energy of the Neteru. These are things that we want to do practically. So Hessi is something that's really practical. Hessi is something that you can do anywhere. I often tell people, you can do Hessi when you're walking. You can do Hessi on the train. You can do Hessi when you're cooking your food. You can do Hessi with your children. Call forth that sacred energy, because there is a real power and there is a real energy in the Medu Neter, excuse me. And also, too, in what we call the Metu second move, words of power. So call forth those words of power. You hear us at the Shrine of Ma'at, you hear us as the Hessi Committee. We come before you often, like during the summer solstice, during the equinoxes, and we do Hessi. But really see if you can call forth those energies in your home, call forth those energies wherever you may be, and really empower yourself with Hessi. It's a wonderful way to empower yourself and a wonderful way to call forth divine energy. Also, too, as I said, we live in Ma'at, and it's important to call forth, not only call forth, but to live those 42 laws of Ma'at. So one of the things I want to ask you to do, if you don't already have it, is see if you can obtain the 42 laws of Ma'at, the 42 admonitions of Ma'at. Baba Haru, he put together something called the 42 New Ethical Covenants of Ma'at. And if you don't have a copy of the laws of Ma'at in your house, purchase it. Purchase it from the Shrine of Ma'at, purchase it from the Studio Patah. Even you can pick up a copy from the Temple of Anu. As I said, we want to live in Ma'at. And this is real, a living legacy. So as I said, I'm going to do the Asar Hessi, and one of the reasons I picked the Asar Hessi today is when you look at the judgment scene. You know, when you look at the judgment scene, and you'll see various judgment scenes throughout Kemet. You have a judgment scene with Hunefer, and often you'll see a judgment scene with Ani. But when you see them standing before Asar, they stand before Asar, and you know their heart is weighed. You see their heart being weighed on the balance. Tahuti is there on the scene, the one who records things, the one, the Neteru of divine wisdom. And he is that recorder, and he looks at things to make sure that things are just when a person comes before Asar to have their heart weighed. You know, your heart is weighed, and your life is in that balance according to how you live your life in Ma'at here on this earth plane. So it's important for us on a regular to live in Ma'at. And if the person who comes before Asar is proved to have lived his or her life in Ma'at, they'll be declared Ma'akeru. And in this particular scene, I believe we have Hunefer here before Asar, the great Lord of Judgment. You see Asar sitting on Ma'at, and you have Haru bringing Hunefer here. So we really want ourselves to be grounded here in Ma'at in this life and leading our life each and every day in Ma'at, whether it's through meditation, you know, whether it's through Hessi, whether it's through the Kemetic yoga, but grounding ourselves and having our foundation firmly in Ma'at. And the last piece I'll say here is that the particular person, whenever they're brought before Asar, you know, if it's shown that they really lived their life in Ma'at, led a good life, a good, pure, and clean life, a life where they love their brothers and sisters, a life rooted in Ma'at, truth, balance, order, harmony, reciprocity, sobriety. I might have missed one of the principles, but in essence, living in Ma'at. But anyway, if they were declared and shown to have lived their lives in Ma'at, they would be declared Ma'akeru, and they would become an Asar. So in other words, that person there, if he was in Ma'at, he would be Asar Hu Nefer. So each one of us one day will have to stand before Asar and give an account for how we lived our lives. So, you know, I just encourage you to do your best every day to really live in Ma'at, because, you know, one day we all will die. One day we will make our transition from this planet Earth, and we'll have to, as I said, we'll have to give an account for how we lived our lives. So I'm going to do this Asar Hessi. In this particular Hessi, we invoke that energy of Asar, and we do our best to really become, through living our lives in Ma'at, we're doing what we can to become an Asar. And this Hessi, this is a beautiful Hessi. It's a Hessi that was put together by the Intepiyu, a Jabari and Anika of the Shrine of Ma'at. And I'm going to read it to you firstly. It's Ia'u, 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 Asar Neferu. Praise, 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 Asar, the most perfect. D-E Sa Neteru, give me wisdom. And then we'll have the refrain, Asar, 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 ah, ah. So I'm gonna just say it to you briefly. So hopefully you can practice it at home and you can look back on this recording. But it goes, Ia'u, 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 Asar Neferu. So that's the first part I'm gonna chant to you. And then the second part goes D-E-E Sa Neteru. Give me divine wisdom. And then we say Asar, 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 the great. So here you can see in this Hessi, we're giving praise to Asar and we're calling forth that energy. So I'm going to move right on forward into this Hessi and really see if you can practice it at home throughout this week. Iau, 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 Asa Neferu. Iau, 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 Asa Neferu. Iau, 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 Asa Neferu. Tisa Neteru. Tisa Neteru. Iau, 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 Asa Neferu. Tisa Neteru. Tisa Neteru. Asar, 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 Iau, 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 Asar Neferu. Iau, 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 Asar Neferu. Iau, 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 Asar Neferu. Tisa Neteru. Tisa Neteru. Asar, 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 Asar. Yahoo, 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 Asar Neteru. That's that pool family. See if you can practice this Hessi on a regular. Much more to you. That's that pool.
Oh, wonderful. Twa'u, Twa'u, Twa'u. We so appreciate you, Abu Kepra, for being able to bring that wonderful chant back to us and to share it with the entire community. So we are very appreciative of you doing this, Twa'u. At this time, I'm going to just make sure that you have an opportunity to see all of the priests that are here with us today so that you know who represents the Shrine of Ma'at. So here we have Abu Sashat, we have Abu Ames, we have Abu Waziri, Abu Kepra, who you just heard, and Abu Tehuti, who are all the Wenwet, or at least some of the Wenwet of the Shrine of Ma'at. Today we do not have Abut, excuse me, Waseret, Abut Mahert, and Abu just Jamar. They were unable to be with us
And
today.
Abu Ka.
And Abu Ka. And I want to make sure that we recognize all of our Wenwet to make sure that you know who represents the Shrine of Ma'at. So I just want to say Twa'u to all of you for supporting the organization, for helping us lead this organization in such a competent way. And I want the community to just know who you are and recognize you. So when we are back in person, you know who your priests are. Okay. So at this time, I am going to turn it over to Abu Tehuti, who will lead us with the Sebait for today, the word of the Sebait. So welcome again, Abu Tahuti and Twa'u, for leading us today.
Anke Ma'at. Thank you, Hemet Netter and Tepi, Anika. Thank you to, let me say dua also to Abu Ra for that beautiful Hessi. That is very fitting, and it's no coincidence that you chose to do this Hessi. And by the way, I just want you all to know, if I could say, that me and Kepra did not get together and say, we're going to do this Hessi today. So that is, I just want to show you right there that is so divine that he chose to do this Usar Hessi, because it falls right in line with what we're talking about today. So let me just start by saying that Halloween is coming up, right? So we're going to show you uh, the facts, of what Halloween is about. And I want you all, especially as African spiritual practitioners, to think about whether or not this is a holiday for you to be celebrating. Should you be tapping into Halloween? Um, I'm not going to tell you whether or not to celebrate it. We're just going to present the facts to you. So, is Halloween for African people? Let's get into it. And the reason the Usar Hessi is so powerful and it is in divine timing right now also is because we're going to show you that one of the uh, holidays that was celebrated in Kemet revolves around Usar, or Wisar, as some people may call him. And this is the celebration of the divine principle of resurrection and going forth and taking care of the ancestral tombs and the ancestors that have passed on, the spirits, and feeding that energy, because we as African spiritual practitioners, we feed that which has transitioned, so that way it can live forever, right? This is the principle that we stand on. Ma'at, we tap into life. So if I can share with you some of the words of wisdom, the Seba'it literature, right? And this is taken from the book of Ptahhotep. All right. Okay, let's see here. I'm sorry, let me get the page together. And my soul said to me, cast your complaints aside, my comrade and brother. Make offerings on the sacrificial fire and cling to life, as I have said. Love me, your soul here. Set aside thoughts of death and desire death only when your body joins the earth. Then I will alight on you after you have become truly weary, and we shall dwell together forever. I want you to think about that for a second, right? And this is a conversation that the ancestor is having with his soul, right? So his soul is responding back to him. But let me backtrack for a second, so that way you all understand the setting of what's going on here. So he's having a conversation with his soul, right? And matter of fact, let me just let the ancestors speak for themselves. Let me read further. So in this dialogue with the soul, he says, "To whom shall I speak today? The one doing wrong is an intimate friend and the brother with whom one used to deal as an enemy. No one remembers the past and none return the good deed that is done. Brothers and sisters are evil and people turn to strangers for righteousness or affection. To whom shall I speak today? Faces are empty and all turn their faces from their brothers and sisters. Hearts are great with greed, and there is no heart of a man or woman upon which one might lean. None are just or righteous, and the land is left to the doers of evil. To whom shall I speak today? There are no intimate friends, and the people turn to the strangers to tell their troubles. None are content, and those with whom one used to walk no longer exist. I am burdened with grief and have no one to comfort me. There is no end to the wrong which roams the earth. Now, let me pause for a second. Now, when we talk about Halloween, yeah, you see your jack-o'-lanterns and the trick-or-treating, and they dress it up nice and stuff for the children, right? But when it really comes down to it, Halloween, and it's not rocket science, right? It's common sense. Halloween is tapping into uh what one would consider like evil, or some might say bad spirits. It's all about spookism, scaring you and whatnot, right? So I'm gonna show you how it connects. So in this dialogue with the soul, right? He's talking to his soul and he's feeling a type of way where it's evil around him. It's people that are doing the exact opposite of Ma'at. They're tapping into the spirit of death. They're not tapping into life. Ankh, right? They're not living in Ma'at, right? So he goes on to say, "To whom shall I speak today? There are no intimate friends, and the people turn to strangers to tell their troubles. None are content, and those with whom one used to walk no longer exist. I am burdened with grief and have no one to comfort me. There is no end to the wrong which roams the earth. Thus, death to me today is like health to the ill, like going outdoors for confinement. Death to me today is like the smell of myrrh, like sitting under the sail on a windy day. Death to me today is like the fragrance of lotus, like sitting on the shore of feasting." Does that not sound like Halloween? Like you're tapping into death, you're tapping into those things that are opposite of Ma'at, and you're kind of celebrating it, like it's the right thing to do, like it's jolly and whatnot. Okay. Death to me today is like a well-trodden way, like returning home from war. Death to me today is like the clearing up of clouds from the sky, like a person discovering that which was unknown. Death to me today is like longing to see home after spending many years in captivity. Surely, one who reaches the beyond will be a living neter, pushing the offenses of the wrongdoer. Surely, one who reaches the beyond will be one who stands in the sun bark of Ra, causing abundant gifts to be given to the temples. Surely, one who reaches the beyond will be considered wise and will not be prevented from appealing to Ra when he or she speaks. Right? And then that brings us back to the main piece of the Seba'it that I would like to focus on today, which is, "And my soul said to me, cast your complaints aside." So this is the soul responding back. "Cast your complaints aside, my comrade, my son, my brother. Make offerings on the sacrificial fire and cling to life," right? What does he say? Cling to life. Cling to life as I have said. Love me, your soul here. Set aside thoughts of death and desire death only when your body joins the earth. Then I will alight on you after you have become truly weary, and we shall dwell together forever. So, as you can see, our ancestors were are encouraging life. They're encouraging a culture of life. You see, so let me get into the PowerPoint that we have presented for you today. Let me give a shout out to Sen Sean, one of our initiates who is helping us out today. We have some heavy information for you, so let's dive right on. All right. So, all right. So as you can see, let me go back for a second. Okay. So Jolly Halloween, and this is a postcard from the 1910s, right? So normally when you think of Halloween, you don't hear people saying Jolly Halloween or Merry Halloween, but they have postcards that that tell you Happy Halloween, Jolly Halloween, Merry Halloween, right? Yeah, you could find these postcards. This is just one postcard from the 1910s. Okay, let's go over. Okay, so Halloween origins, Samhain, right? And we're going to show you how Samhain involves a whole lot of ritualistic practices that are beyond anything that is African. All right. So now let me just say this for a second. You have many people that are trying to tap into anything that is different from what they may have been raised and grow up to have be a part of, right? So, you know, you got a lot of Christians, you got a lot of Abrahamic traditional practitioners that choose to, you know, they want to tap into something different than that. And as a result, they see this stuff that, you know, involves the things that the Bible taught or their preacher may have taught or their parents may have taught that was evil growing up, or society may have taught that was evil growing up. So, you know, they see the sage burning and they see veneration to the ancestors and whatnot. So they want to tap into that. And, you know, you have the salts who used to do it, and you have other European groups who used to do this, right? Tamahu groups. So sometimes some of us tap into that, but a lot of us don't know that there is a whole practice behind these things that led up to Halloween that we do not represent as African people. Remember, I told you, we represent life. That is the main thing that we base our culture upon is life. Anke Ma'at. This is what we do, right? So here you have Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, pronounced Samhain. The Celts, who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and the northern France area, celebrated their new lunar on November 1st. So, and you know, many of the traditions that the Celts practice and other groups, you know, that was adopted into the Catholic Church. in the Holy Roman Empire, because the Holy Roman Empire saw the Druids. We're going to talk about the Druids, which is Celtic priests, right? We're going to show you what they did and their traditions, how that passed into what is today known as Halloween, right? So the Druids, they basically brought forth the Samhain holiday, right? Let's go forward. And so this area, like I said, you know, you have to understand the geography. You have to understand what was going on at the time. The Holy Roman Empire, so-called Holy Roman Empire, they saw the Druids as a threat, because the Druids were forest people of the forest that tapped into this energy of burning wood, and they wore a lot of wood on their clothes, and plants around their heads, and you know, cloak themselves in animal skins, such as the antlers of deer and whatnot. And you know, these people were considered holy, and they were put on a high pedestal. You know, people would send their children to go see the Druids and become initiated into the Druid practice, right? The order of the Druids. And so Rome, when Christianity was rising at that time, you know, they saw the Druids as a threat to the Holy Roman Empire, right? So here we have, and they also lived in France. They were head in France and Britain at a time in history, right? So, and we're going to show you accounts, right, from Julius Caesar, and we're going to show you accounts from Tacitus, right, that show who these people were and some of the things that they did. Halloween's origins date back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, pronounced Samhain. The Celts, who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in that area that is now Ireland and United Kingdom, right? Let's move forward. Other names for Halloween: Allantide, Cornish; All Hallows Tide, Allawine Tide, Germanic; All Souls Day, which is Christian; Calan Gaeve or Hallantide, Welsh; Halloween, secular American; Cala Gonf, Breton; Samhain, Manx; Samhain, modern Irish; Samhain, Scottish; Gaelic; Trinotine. I know I'm probably killing some of these names. Samnoi, Gaulish from the Kalengi calendar, right? And this is taken from Oxford Dictionary. So Samhain is a pagan religious festival originating from an ancient Celtic spiritual tradition. In modern times, Samhain, a Gaelic word pronounced Samhain, is usually celebrated from October 31st to November 1st to welcome in the harvest and usher in the dark half of the year. Celebrants believe that the barriers between the physical world and the spirit world break down during Samhain, allowing more interaction between humans and denizens of the other world. And so, like I said, these people, you know, they're people of the forest. And, you know, they had this fascination with wood and burning things. We're going to show you that going forward. So and I want you to think about what our ancestors, African people, especially in the Americas, went through, especially in North America, especially in the United States of America, right? When it comes to tar and feather and burning. I want you to keep that in your mind. And I want you to understand, right, why it is that somebody could sit around a bonfire, right? We're going to tap into that too. Bonfire, right? Which is bones, the remains of bones that are left over from the fire where human sacrifice has taken place, right? Uh, you can see her antlers. This is one of the druid priestess. You can see her antlers there in that picture, right? Forest people, right? Deer and stuff living in the forest. So this is not African centered. Keep that in your mind. And so when uh, when people, Tamahu people, stand around and smile in a picture after somebody has been burned and tarred and feathered or lynched or their limbs chopped off, I want you to remember the culture in which they came from. They never stopped practicing their culture, right? We are the ones who stopped practicing our culture. So again, I must ask you, Africans, is Halloween something that you should be celebrating? Is it something you should be tapping into? I'm not the one to tell you not to celebrate it. I'm just asking you, should you be celebrating it? And if so, is it African? Is it for the African? Let's move forward. It's Halloween for the African. There you go. There goes the antlers again. The burning, the wood, people of the woods. You got your fairies and your dwarfs, and this is this culture. And it's so much information. We could go all day, but we're not going to tap into the dwarfs and the elves and that side of stuff. We're going to keep it in the Halloween stuff, but it goes into Christmas as well. So Samhain, and you can see here the Druid Celtic priest of nature, and this is a book that you could actually get. And in the middle here, you see one of the Druids with the antlers on the head, right? Forest people, you could see him surrounding himself with the animals there, and a very Halloween kind of looking picture on the right. Okay. Yes, they never stopped practicing their culture. Let's go back for a second. Let's go back one slide for a second. Okay. Samhain is the pagan religious festival originating from an ancient Celtic spiritual tradition. In modern times, Samhain, a Gaelic word pronounced Samhain, is usually celebrated from October 31st to November 1st to welcome in the harvest and usher in the dark half of the year. Celebrants believe that the carriers between the physical world and it's a little cut off there, I can't see. So in essence, okay, thank you. Celebrants believe that the barriers between the physical world and the spirit world break down during Samhain or Samhain, allowing more interaction between humans and those of the other world. All right, let's move forward. So you can see the priest there. Let's keep moving forward. Burning things. So, and this is taken from National Geographic. So this is not my words. You go to National Geographic and find some more information here. Here we have primary sources from Julius Caesar as well as Tacitus. Now, let me just say this before I go too deep into this information here. Many scholars, historians say that, oh well, we can't go off of what the Romans were saying because the Druids. Keep in mind, the Druids, they had no written language, right? Which is funny because here is a people that had no written language. They didn't write any of their history down, right? They was just passed down by word of mouth, right? So why do the Africans in today's day and age feel like they want to celebrate Halloween? You're tapping into people that chose or not didn't choose, didn't know how to write. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you tap into, and this is I'm not trying to throw shots or anything, but it's just the truth, right? You're tapping into people who did not know how to write. You see what I'm saying? here we have so many spiritual African traditions where there is law written down in stone for you, right? There's culture written down for you. There's nothing wrong with passing down things by word of mouth. There's nothing wrong with that. It is artistic, right? There's power in that. But I just want you to understand what you're getting yourself involved with when you practice Halloween. So here we have a source, Julius Caesar. And remember now, the Romans conquered the Druids. They used to kill the Druids, but then they realized they couldn't defeat the Druids on a spiritual level because they just kept multiplying. They just keep popping up. So they had to incorporate those traditions and practices, and you see how it got incorporated into the Catholic Church, right? Now, but this is the reason why we decided to post up Tacitus information, because remember now, Tacitus, he's not one of the Romans. So check this out, right? Tacitus, the African general, right? He fought for the Romans, right, at one point. But remember now, and we discussed this on Wisdom Wednesday once, right? Tacitus decided to turn against the Romans and start fighting for the Northern Africans, right? So the reason why this is important is because you can't just say the Romans, we can't trust the Romans' word because the Romans were trying to conquer the Druids in France and Britain and whatnot. Well, here we have Tacitus. Tacitus was not on you guys' team the whole time. He was arguably a mercenary the whole time, right? Because once the Romans started pissing off Tacitus, then Tacitus turned against them. So, but this is Tacitus' words, as you can see, describing the Druids and whatnot. So let's go into it. Since ancient salts didn't use the written word, all of our accounts about the Druids come from outsiders, particularly the Romans. Druids are engaged in things sacred, conduct, the public and the private sacrifices, and interpret all matters of religion, wrote Julius Caesar. In the 50s BC, after Rome invaded Gaul, modern France, the emperor noted their interest in astronomy, education, it's a little cut off there, I can't see, and their habit of sacrificing for the Gauls to gain their god's favor by burning wicker men stuffed with live men set on fire. All right. So we're going to go into the wicker men, right? And this is all a part of the Halloween festivals, right? This is what many Africans are choosing to celebrate, and they paint it up and make it seem fun for the children. And I asked Christians, why are you celebrating Halloween as well? You know, it's a lot of confusion going on. This is a holiday that Christians want to celebrate. You even want to bring your little trick-or-treat into the church and whatnot. I'm not trying to throw shots, but let's just deal with reality. Why are we tapping into this holiday? All right. Now, if you're going to celebrate this holiday, then understand what it is, where it comes from, and you need to be able to understand why you're celebrating it. I'm not telling you not to. Just be able to stand on your square and say why you're celebrating this. So let's go into Tacitus' words. Other Roman writers also fixated on the Druids' love of blood and gore. Pliny the Elder wrote of the Druids' appreciation for both mistletoe. All right. Remember, I told you this is deeper than Halloween. Pliny the Elder wrote on Druids' appreciation for both mistletoe and human sacrifice. To murder a man was to do the act of highest devoutness, he wrote, and to eat his flesh was to secure the highest blessings of health. You see that? And this is what you guys want to tap into. Tacitus even described a battle in Wales in which Druids covered their altars with the blood of captives and consulted their deities through human entrails, right? Or intestines and the inner parts of humans. So throwing your guts, spilling your guts and putting it on the altar. Now, you know, African spiritual practitioners, we don't put bloody guts of those we have murdered on the altar. That's not our style. No. But this is what many of the African diaspora and many non-Africans are choosing to celebrate this stuff, right? The pagan practitioners presented an existential threat to the Romans, who feared Druid power over the Celtic communities that Rome had conquered, right? Let's go forward. Wicker man, wicker man, right? All right. A wicker man was a large wicker statue reportedly used by the ancient Druids, priests of Celtic paganism, for sacrifice by burning it in effigy. So here and there goes the antlers again, right? Forest people. It's nothing for them to put their own to a burning wood, all right? Chop off their limbs and whatnot, their ears. And let me tell you something else. The thing with Druids, right? They spill blood as a form of divination, right? Whereas, Africans, and other groups of people, we might use other forms of divination. We might tap into, like tarot card reading is something new. That's a form of divination that's more new. And many groups tap into the tarot reading. There's other forms like, throwing bones, whatnot. But imagine using blood spill. So I'm going to chop off your ear or slit your throat and see how the blood spills on the ground. And that's how I'm going to tap into divination and see what the spirits want me to do, or what the spirits want the town to do. Spilling blood as a form of divination. And you see here, this wicker man in the picture is actually a modern day photo. So they still practice their culture today. You could even see the Tamahu man standing underneath the wicker man if you look closely, right? This is from the Wicker Man Festival. They have a whole Man Festival, all right? Wicker Man, let's go forward. Wicker Man, right? Putting people into the wicker man and setting them on fire, bonfires, right? We want to have bonfires. We want to do everything the Tamahu do, right? Caesar reports that some of the Gauls built the effigies out of sticks and placed living men inside, then set them on fire to pay tribute to the gods. And God is not even a Christian term, by the way. That's a Germanic term, right? So we have to change our entire form of thinking. If you did not know that, it's not a Christian word, okay? Caesar writes that though the Druids generally used those found guilty of crimes deserving death as they pleased the gods more, they sometimes used slaves and thralls when no delinquents could be found. So, and the next thing with the Druids, they would go door to door, right? Seeking out either animal sacrifice or human sacrifice, right? To appease the spirits, So they were spilling blood as form of divination and placing people as sacrifice into these wicker men. You even got a movie called Wicker Man. You could go check that out, right? Let's keep moving forward. So, you can see how all of these things are tying into Halloween. Now, let me go back to the Sabbath. Let's remind the African mind what we stand on and what we're about. And the conversations with the soul, going back into the Sabbath, it says, and my soul said to me, cast your complaints aside, my comrade and brother. Make offerings on the sacrificial fire and cling to life. Cling to life. It didn't say spill blood. It said cling to life. As I have said, love me, your soul here. Set aside thoughts of death. It didn't say go spilling blood. It said set aside thoughts of death, right? It didn't say put somebody to the fire, to the stake. It didn't say lynch somebody on some wood, nail somebody to some wood and burn them on some wood. No, it said set aside thoughts of death and desire death only when your body joins the earth. Then I will alight on you after you have become truly weary, and we shall dwell together forever. So, bonfire, bonefire. This is what we want to do, right? Huh? We want to do everything that Tom Who do. All right, let's get into it. The word is actually derived from Middle English bonfire, meaning literally a fire of bones. The earliest appearance of the word is gloss ingenis oseum, Latin for fire of bones. And a citation from the 15th century confirms that this is not just a learned folk etymology. You dig? So, and you can see the sources. You can look this up for yourself. This is just not Abu Tahuti Ka saying this, pulling it out of thin air. You can go look this stuff up for yourself. All right, let's keep moving forward. Wicker Man, bonfire. But in worship of Saint Johann, the people woke at home and made weed manner of fires on was clenny bones and no woad, and that is called a bonfire. A noter is clean woad and no bones, and that is called a wood fire. All right, and this is from John Merck, there, the Valleys, 1486. So here you have primary sources of people throughout history that are telling you about these bone fires and the burning of the flesh and things that the Druids used to do. And it's not just the Druids. It's other Germanic groups. We could even go into the Vikings, but that's a whole nother thing. And that even goes into Christmas. It's so much information. Let's keep going forward. All right. After the harvest work was complete, celebrants joined their Druid priests to light a community fire using a wheel that would cause friction and spark flames. The wheel was considered a representation of the sun and used along with prayers. Cattle were sacrificed, and participants took a flame from the communal bonfire back to their home to relight the earth. And so, and this is still celebrated today. So some of you, let me just call a spade a spade. You know, some of you people want to tap into this Halloween. You know, you got people calling themselves a part of the Wiccan and whatnot, and African. Let me ask you, if you go to some of these celebrations, if you really get around some of these people that are really about that life, do you think you would really be all that safe around them? Better yet, if you was to go back in the time, we see it what Julius Caesar said. We see what Tacitus said, right? If we was to go back in the time and call yourself, you want to hop in a time machine and you want to go chill with the Wicker Man and you want to practice bonfires the way it used to be done, do you think you, African, would really be safe around these people? You might be lynched from a tree. You might be burnt to a stake. You might be nailed to some type of wooden thing, right? A cross or something. You know what I'm saying? The Romans were calling these people bloody people, right? So the Romans, out of all people, we know what the Romans did. Come on. So let's move forward. And here we have Lindo Man. Now this is taken from the British Museum, all right? So you could actually go to the British Museum and see the remains of Lindo Man. Also, they have Lindo Woman, have Lindo Man 2, Lindo Man 3. So basically, this guy, well, let me read the information, right? World history. This is taken from worldhistory.org. You can do further research yourself. There's the source. The reasons and cause of death have caused debate between scholars. There are signs of 2 blows to the top of the head with a heavy and bladed weapon, and also a knife wound to the throat. There is also evidence for a blow to the back by a broken rib. He had a thin cord around his neck, which may have been used to strangle and break his neck. But some have argued that it was simply a necklace because it is knotted in a decorative manner. Once dead, he was placed face down in the bog. This horrific death may have been a ritual killing, a human sacrifice carried out perhaps by the Druids. All right. So remember, I told you the Druids, they used blood spill and death as a form of divination. You see what I'm saying? So this is what we want to tap into. You want to cut somebody's neck and see how the blood spill out, chop the ear off a little bit, or let's hit him in the head with an axe. Oh, and by the way, this guy didn't just get hit in the head and throat slice and stabbed in the back. He was also placed his face down, and you see the source. You could go research for yourself. There's so much information. You could look it up and see his face was placed down also into the watery marsh. So death as a form of divination. Let's take a look and see how you die. And this is how we're going to tap into divination. And this is what many people don't realize. This is all a part of the Halloween culture that we're showing you what used to take place back in the day and how it comes into the present day. Let's keep moving forward. So you can see that in the museum, British Museum, for yourself. All right. Wisdom of the Ancestors, the book of dialogue with the soul. And my soul said to me, cast your complaints aside, my comrade and brother, make offerings on the sacrificial fire and cling to life, as I have said. Love me, your soul, here. Set aside thoughts of death and desire death only when your body joins the earth. Did you hear that, Africans? African diaspora? Did you hear that? Love me, your soul, here. Set aside thoughts of death and desire death only when your body joins the earth. Then I will alight on you after you have become truly weary, and we shall dwell together forever. The book of dialogue with the soul. Let's keep moving forward. Halloween origin costumes. All right. Because the Salts believed that the barrier between worlds was breachable during Samhain, they prepared offerings that were left outside villages and fields for fairy or Sids, right? Remember I told you this is deeper than Halloween, all right? Those who conquered the world, this is what we are practicing. This is what we're choosing to partake, right? We're living in their culture. So we are now also practicing a culture of death and whatnot. Okay. It was expected that ancestors might cross over during this time as well, and salts would dress as animals and monsters so that fairies were not tempted to kidnap them, right? And so these fairies were also considered to be the first inhabitants of the forest of those lands, right? And this is who the Druids looked up to. And these fairies were kidnappers, robbers, okay? But they dress it up, little pixie dust, and try to make it happy and jolly for the children. As you can see, if we go back to the beginning of the PowerPoint, that postcard said, Jolly Halloween, huh? Have a merry Halloween. This is what we're tapping into. Let's dress it up and make murder and incest and sacrifice nice for the children and eating of the human flesh. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Right. And another thing, let me give you some more. These people was pranksters, right? So they would wait until you was out of town or away from your house, you know, and light a cabbage on fire and throw the cabbage that is lit on fire into your house. And then, it would be tied to a string, pull it out of the house, let it smoke up the house. This is just some of the things they used to do. So by the time you come back home, right, you come into the house, you're coughing like you got the COVID, you want to throw up, you will throw up, right? You're throwing up because of that smell, that stench in the air, and how it affects the human body. These are the things they used to do. This is the pranks they used to play, right? What's the movie called? Look, their faces even look like that movie. You know what I'm talking about. Somebody posted in the comments. See if we're thinking on the same level right now. You know the movie, right? Purge. The Purge. Then some of this stuff kind of sound like The Purge, right? We want to scare people and tap into murder and whatnot, okay? And so to commemorate the event, Druids built huge sacred bonfires where the people gathered to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities during the celebration. The Celts wore costumes typically consisting of animal heads and skins and attempted to tell each other's fortunes. All right. And they still do this. Let's keep moving forward. And also, dressing up as animal faces was also to appear that you are also one of the spirits, one of the spirits roaming the earth. So that way you wouldn't be seen as a human, and that was also a form of protection, right? So here we see how that goes, how that transpires today. So some specific monsters were associated with the mythology surrounding Samhain, including a shape-shifting creature called a puka that receives harvest offerings from the field. And the harvest, oh man, that's a whole nother thing. That's a very murderous thing, extremely murderous, right? We just scratching the surface, and that kicks off the holidays. And remember, I told you Halloween is not just Halloween. It kicks off this whole season, right? A season of death, but now we call it a season to be jolly, right? To be merry, okay? The Lady Gwen is a headless woman dressed in white who chases night wanderers, right? And was accompanied by a black pig. You see the culture and you can see the picture, right? They tapping into Lady Gwen. Some of they people don't know their culture, right? And they may be innocently celebrating something for the children and whatnot, trick-or-treating, and we're going to get into that, right? Leaving out food for the evil spirits and those who have passed on, the dead, right? We're going to get into that. Let's keep moving forward. There's a lot of information. It's very heavy. Lady Gwen, right? This is what we're really tapping into. So is this African? Is this for the African? Should you be celebrating Halloween? I'm not going to tell you to celebrate it or not to celebrate it. Answer that question for yourself. When trick or treating, young men, Gorachad, would sing the following verses. Nos glagaen to fala poisen dad mas I wahara ladi wen arbeni pren in nadu. Okay, I know I'm killing the language, but you get the point. Okay, you see Gwen all up in that. Winter's Eve, baiting of apples, who is coming out to play. White lady on top of a tree, right? An umbrella stick, 1 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock, time for the pigs to have dinner. And we know pigs will eat anything. Pigs will eat bones, eat bones from the bonfire. right? The bonfire. Let's keep moving. Okay, a group of hunters known as the fairy host might also hunt, Samhain, and kidnap people. Similar are the slog, who would come from the west to enter houses and steal souls. This is the culture of Halloween. So I don't want to hear that, oh, it's for the children, you know, we just trick-or-treating. We just showed you what trick-or-treating was. All right. Is this for the African? Are we standing on death, or are we standing on principles of Ma'at? Are we fixing our mind on death, or are we fixing our mind on life, like the ancestors told us to do? Focus on life. So is this for the African? Answer that question for yourself. Okay. So a group of hunters known as the fairy hosts might also haunt Samhain and kidnap people. That's what they used to do. Now, as you can see how that culture translates into some of the evils that had taken place throughout the Americas, right? Especially in North America. Do I need to remind you, huh? How they used to burn us, how they used to kidnap us and enslave us in the circuses. Do I need to remind you how they used to kidnap us for their picnics, right? You know what that is, picnics. Okay. And their songs, you know, they pass down these songs. If you ever pay attention, these songs are these little children's songs are some of the most evil songs you can listen to, right? We just showed you one song right there. You know, it's so many examples of songs that are actually very evil, but we sing them. We still singing some of these songs. All right, let's keep moving forward. Even in the movies, when you watch the movies, a little child starts singing in the scary movie and it sounds so evil. You know, they know what they're doing. They know the culture they're tapping into. Since the Middle Ages, a tradition of mumming on a certain holiday has existed in parts of Britain and Ireland. It involved going door to door in costume, performing short scenes of parts of plays in exchange for food or drink. The custom of trick or treating on Halloween may come from the belief that supernatural beings or the souls of the dead roam the earth and needed to be appeased, right? They need to be appeased. So there you have it, leaving the food out for these souls that are wandering the earth, and putting on these masks to act like you're one of the souls or the demons that are wandering around at this time. So that way you don't get devoured, right? And that also goes into the jack-o'-lantern, right? Taking things of the forest and lighting them on fire, and particularly things in the shapes of heads, right? We just showed you the headless lady, right? And it goes into their culture. You see it in the movies and whatnot. Headless horseman, right? The heads are also a part of that, you know, that whole culture of acting like you're one of the demons, so that way the demons don't come and devour you, right? So these are different ways that they protect themselves, and this is what you got your children doing. Some of you got your children doing. Among Celtics speaking peoples, it was seen as a liminal time when the spirits of fairies, the Alc, and the souls of the dead came into our world and were appeased with offerings of food and drink. Similar beliefs and customs were found in other parts of Europe. It is suggested that trick-or-treating evolved from a tradition whereby people impersonated the spirits or the souls of the dead and received offerings on their behalf. Let's keep moving. So the wisdom of the ancestors, right? And my soul said to me, cast your complaints aside, my comrade and brother. Make offerings on the sacrificial fire and cling to life as I have said. Love me, your soul. Here, set aside thoughts of death. Set aside thoughts of death. and desire death only when your body joins the earth, not when you decide to set somebody on fire and make them transition forcibly. No, that's not what that says. That's not what the ancestors are saying to do. Love me, your soul here. Set aside thoughts of death and desire death only when your body joins the earth. Naturally, right? This is what we're talking about here. Then I will alight on you after you have become truly weary, and we shall dwell together forever. Right? Ankh in my eye. That's what we do. All right, let's keep moving forward. The jack-o'-lantern, right? The legend of Stingy Jack. Stingy Jack, according to the story, Stingy Jack invited the devil to have a drink with him. Now, hold on, let me tap into that word devil right quick, since we talking about Halloween, right? So a lot of what they do is the opposite of what we Africans do. So if you notice, to live is the opposite of devil. It is actually the word spelled backwards, right? So, and if you change those words around, you also get evil. All right. So a lot of what they do is the opposite of what we stand on, which is life, which is on, right? Okay. So moving forward with Stingy Jack, devil to have a drink with him. True to his name, Stingy Jack didn't want to pay for his drink, so he convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin that Jack could use to buy their drinks. Once the devil did so, Jack decided to keep the coin and put it into his pocket next to a silver, which prevented the devil from changing to his original form. Okay. Jack eventually freed the devil under the condition that he would not bother Jack for 1 year, and that should Jack die, he would not claim his soul. The next year, Jack again tricked the devil into climbing into a tree to pick a piece of fruit. While he was up in the tree, Jack carved a sign of the cross into the tree's bark so that the devil could not come down until the devil promised Jack not to bother him for 10 more years. This is the culture we want to tap into. Let's keep moving. Is this for the African? Is jack-o'-lanterns for the African? Is trick-or-treating for the African? Soon after Jack died, as the legend goes, God would not allow such a unsavory figure into heaven. The devil, upset by the trick Jack had played on him and keeping his word not to claim his soul, would not allow Jack into hell. He sent Jack off into the dark night with only a burning coal to light his way. Jack put the coal into a carved out turnip and has been roaming the earth with ever since. The Irish began, and excuse me, because it's a little cut off, to this ghostly figure as Jack of, it's a little cut off there, but you get the point. All right, this is jack-o'-lantern. Let's keep moving forward. In Ireland and Scotland, people began to make their own versions of Jack's lanterns by carving scary faces into turnips or potatoes and placing them into windows or near doors to frighten away Stingy Jack and other wandering evil spirits. In England, large beets are used. Immigrants from these countries brought the jack-o'-lantern tradition with them when they came to the United States. So they soon started using pumpkins and fruit native to the Americas, which made perfect jack-o'-lanterns. Let's keep moving. So you can see how Halloween transformed into what we have today, and those traditions, which are not African. Let me say that again. These traditions, which are not African, were brought over to the Americas because they were incorporated into Roman culture, and we see how the Roman culture pushed their twisted version of Christianity onto the people of the entire planet, right? And so we can see why today it is that we are practicing cultures and traditions and holidays. We're so confused. We don't even know why we're doing all this stuff. We calling ourselves Christian one minute, right? Some of us are calling ourselves Christian one minute, then we turn around celebrating Halloween. Has nothing to do with each other, right? Confusion. So, again, is this for the African? Halloween was once so dangerous that some cities considered banning it. Did you know that? Some cities considered banning Halloween altogether. Violence and vandalism were once as traditional as candy and costumes. Did you know that? When immigrants from Scotland and Ireland brought their Halloween traditions to the United States in the middle of the 1800s, they celebrated as they did back in their homelands, not with costumed children going door to door for sweets, but by doing pranks. Makes you wonder. I mean, what kind of pranks were they doing back in the 1800s? Maybe a little bonfire, huh? Maybe burning somebody, maybe tarring and feathering somebody, maybe lynching somebody in the night in a tree and taking pictures and laughing about it and smiling about it. Maybe. Maybe we can understand why it is that it's so easy for them to do certain things to us because they used to do it to their own. Because they used to do it to their own people. A culture of death. Is this for the African? Is this for the African spiritual practitioner? Is this for the Christian? Is this for the Muslim? Is this for any of the Abrahamic people who practice Abrahamic traditions that may be watching? Is this really for you? Because some of you celebrating Halloween. You already got your jack-o'-lanterns placed out. All right, let's keep moving. Imagine that. Halloween was so dangerous that they almost outlawed it in many cities. Imagine that. What were they really doing back then, huh? Halloween was once so dangerous that some cities considered banning it. In Ireland, boys would carve spooky faces in turnips to scare unwary travelers, and they would tie strings to cabbages and pull them through fields to scare people, says Lisa Morton, author of Trick or Treat, a history of Halloween. The Scots had one really obnoxious prank where they would pull up a cabbage stalk, get it smoking, and shove it into the keyhole at someone's door. It's just like what I was telling you, right? When the person came home, you know what they would do. From the smell. Let's keep moving. I just told you about that, right? And this is what you guys want to tap into, right? And now they try to make it for the children in today's day and age. Oh, it's just pixie dust and stuff, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? It's a jolly time. It's just about the candy and children. Okay. Halloween pranks in America. Boys ran through city streets, splattering people with bags of flour or black stockings filled with ashes. One year, youths in Kansas City waxed streetcar tracks on a steep hill, causing a vehicle to slip and crash into another streetcar, seriously injuring a conductor. After a spate of Halloween destruction in 1902, the Cook County Herald expressed the frustration felt by many residents of Arlington Heights, Illinois. Most everybody enjoys a joke or fun to a proper degree on suitable occasions, but when property is damaged or destroyed, it is time to call it a halt. The paper intoned, "We would advise the public to load their muskets or cannon with rock, salt, or bird shot, and when trespassers invade your premises at unseemly hours upon mischief bent, pepper them good and proper so they will be effectually cured and have no further taste for such tricks. Now we know how the Tamahu moves. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. We know how the racist Tamahu moves in this country and throughout the world. So, given the information that is presented here, what makes you think that they may not have bent the law a little bit and decided to maybe kidnap somebody at a given time and still purge, right? Still carry out a little purge in the Halloween spirit on the African? What makes you think, just given what we know how they do in present day and times, how they bend the law and stuff to suit themselves, right? What makes you think that they didn't do things like maybe accuse an African at any given point in time in the 1800s or the 1900s of doing pranks and foolery and come up with a reason to punish them? All right, keep that in mind. In parts of the Northeast, October 30th became known as Mischief Night. It was called Goosey Night in parts of New Jersey. Harkening back to the old Scottish pranking tradition, it was even known as Cabbage Night in some locales. While the vandalism was usually along the lines of soaping windows, spraying shaving cream, throwing eggs at houses, or tossing toilet paper over trees and bushes, it took a truly dark turn in Detroit and other Michigan cities such as Saginaw, I'm probably screwing up that name, and Flint, which were set ablaze in what became known as the Devil's Night. Now, who do you think may have been caught up in the Devil's Night, right? We know, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Malcolm X's father was killed in that area, in the Midwest area, right? Tied down to train tracks and killed in the night. And they act like nothing happened. They didn't know what happened, right? By a group who wear black hoodies, right? Similar to the Klans, but they were not the Klans. They were a different gang of Tamahu supremacists that, but you get my point. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, you know what I'm saying? But it reminded me, right? So I'm not going to go too deep into that, right? But the Devil's Night, imagine who might have got caught up in this Devil's Night. All right. Why continue to attack each other when they could attack somebody else and sacrifice somebody else? Let's keep moving forward. So again, let's go back to the wisdom, the Seba'it. And my soul said to me, cast your complaints aside, my comrade and brother. Make offerings on the sacrificial fire and cling to life. As I have said, love me, your soul here. Set aside thoughts of death and desire death only when your body joins the earth. Then I will alight on you after you have become truly weary, and we shall dwell together forever. We have to keep reminding you of our culture, right? And we're going to show you why the Usar Hessi is so powerful, right? What is WAG Festival? We're going to go into that. All right, let's keep moving forward. All right. So, again, I've been asking you all this whole time, is Halloween something you should be celebrating? And if so, why do you celebrate it? You need to be able to stand on your square and tell me why you choose to celebrate Halloween. Is Halloween for your children? Is it for the African? Is Halloween for the African? All right. How to honor the ancestors with African spirituality. Homework. Do some homework, right? What is the WAG Festival? What is the WAG Festival? What is the Adaye Festival? Alternatives to a culture of death and blood spill, perhaps? This is your homework. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to keep you all here any longer. But here's some homework for you to look up. What is the Adaye Festival? What is the WAG Festival? The Wag Festival ties into Usar. So once again, dua to Abu Kepara for bringing forth Usar Hessi. Divine timing. But it is your job to research what is the Adai Festival and what is the Wag Festival, and even research some other festivals that honor our ancestors and whatnot, and how those celebrations taking place, right? What do we do during these festival times? So with that, I say Anke Ma'at, right? Shout out to those who are in Delaware right now. I'm live from Delaware at the moment and in the DMV area. Shout out to those in ATL, Georgia, right? I wish I could have made it to a museum down there, but maybe next time. Anke Ma'at, Shema Hotep.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Twa'u to Abu Tehuti for leading us today in our word from the Sebaid. I think it's important for all of us to talk about the fact that we have our own African traditions. And many times we've continued to follow what we've been told. And a lot of times it's just because that's what our parents have taught us. And if they didn't know any better, we can't necessarily blame them for what they have passed on to us. But now we're at a stage where we can do our own research. We're at a stage where we can learn for ourselves what is available to us as African people, as part of this wonderful diaspora and all the other traditions that we can choose to celebrate. We don't have to do just what we've been taught as we were young children and continue that legacy on to the children that we have now. We can teach them to do better and to be better because we know better. So at this point, I applaud Abu Tahuti for giving you that homework assignment to find out more about your own African traditions and how you can continue to learn about them, how you can incorporate that into your way of life, how you can teach your children how to do something that represents their own ancestry as opposed to something that can denigrate their own understanding of who they are and who their people are. So Twa'u to you. And at this time, I'd like to just welcome back all of the Wenwet that we have with us today. Just so I can say Twa'u and also introduce them again to the community so you know who the Wenwet of the Shrine of Ma'at are, and to make sure that whenever you need guidance, whenever you need assistance, that you can recognize their faces and know who they are. So again, we have Abu Tishat representing Connecticut. We have Abu Jamar here. I know he joined us more recently. Good to see you, Abu Jamar. Abu Kepra, thank you again, Twa'u, for the wonderful Hessi earlier today. Abu Tahuti, yes, Twa'u, for our word from the Sebaid. And we have Abu Waziri here, Twa'u, for joining us and being in the room with us today. And again, shout out to Abu Ka, Abu Waseret, and Abu Mahert, who couldn't be here with us today, but are also part of the Wenwet family. So at this time, I would like to give you a few announcements. So we will be having another tour with our Hem Netter out in Philadelphia. So for all of you who are out in Philly, look for us next weekend. We will be doing a tour of the Penn Museum, and I will be joining him this time next Saturday at the Penn Museum in Philadelphia. So if you haven't already, please make your reservations. Please visit the centerformaat.com website so that you can find out more about that tour. He will also be leading in a lecture through the happyfilms.com organization that developed the movie or the documentary Happy that focused on economics and ancient Kemetic culture. So please join us for both the tour and the lecture if you are available. I know many of you have also been asking about when we will have our next initiation. We will be doing that later on this year. The applications will be available in December. The actual initiation will start towards the end of February, early March. So if you are interested, please visit our website at www.shrineofma'at.org for more information on how you can become a full member of the Shrine and participate in our initiation rites. Okay. So at this time, I'm going to close with our oldest prayer from the Reu and Pert and Heru and Ger. Many of you should already know it. I will say it in the words of our ancestors and then repeat it in English. So as usual, we would do it in the pose of adoration with our left hand forward, our right hand back, left foot forward, left foot back. And please repeat after me. Amasu in Pa and Ter,
Amasu and Panter,
Sauksu,
Sauksu,
Emitra,
Emethra,
and Pa and Ter,
in Panter,
Autu,
Autu,
Aura,
Aura,
Maketipa,
Maketipa,
Herura.
Herura.
Give yourself to the One Most High.
Give yourself to the One Most High.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
And do it tomorrow,
And do it tomorrow,
just as you did it today.
just as you did it today.
Twawinter.
Twawinter.
Thank you to divine.
Thank you to the divine.
To all of you. I want to say the divine force in me meets the divine force in you. Twawu for being with us for Kemetic Ascension. And Twawu to all of our Wenwet for helping us with the process of doing Kemetic Ascension today. And I bid all of you farewell and hope to see you again soon. Shema Matep.
Shema Matep.
Over, ladies.